Good morning, Blue Lulus. You've made it to Friday. Congratulations. In a 9-0 unanimous decision, it was decided by SCOTUS that the Joker administration is required to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia from El Salvador, and they have to facilitate that return. So it turned out my optimistic side was right, and Chief Justice Roberts was just attempting to buy the Joker a couple of days. But Professor Umbridge, I think we're going to have to call her, approached the podium, and she said that the Joker administration does not have the power to return this Maryland father from El Salvador, and they're just not able to do that. Which makes my pessimistic side wonder if that's because in order to bring him back, you would need a cauldron, some dragon scales, some shaved down raven bones, and some Eye of Newt to do that. And if that's the case, what are we going to do about it? Because I watched the video of that woman's wife pleading for his return, and it brought me to my knees. Like, that poor woman and those poor children. Ugh. And so undoubtedly the Joker will be chucking a bunch of rapid fire bullshit at us so that we drop it and let it go and just let this fade into obscurity, just like we did the helicopter crash and Signalgate and everything else that they've done in the last 70 something days. But as a Scorpio sun, Virgo moon, Aries rising, I can tell you I will never let it go. Never. And I don't think you should either. So every day we need to be asking, where's Kilmar? And they need to answer for whatever it is that they've done to him. Speaking of rapid fire bullshit, the Joker and Bane have officially deployed troops to Panama because they said we're gonna retake the canal. And that's because they want you to forget about the massive scheme that they pulled off this week. And they're not even smart about it. They're not even chill about it. The Joker brought a bunch of his buddies, his billionaire buddies, to the Casablanca yesterday and just pointed out exactly how much money that they've made in just a matter of days. He looks at Charles Schwab and he goes, he made $2.4 billion in one day. Isn't that awesome? And that's of course because he tweeted, now's a really good time to buy, 3 hours before he decided to abruptly switch around his trade policy, I guess, if you want to call it that. And that's illegal. So again, Representative Schiff said that he's going to be opening an investigation into this trading that occurs on the inside. Okay, great, good luck. If you're not on the Blue Lulu train, are you frustrated watching this? Watching him be so brazen and just clearly break the law and just cheat in front of everybody's face and have everybody around you just shrug your shoulders even after he says it out loud? Welcome to the club. His blatant disregard for the law did not start on January 20th. Okay? It's not new. And lastly, Candace Owens put out a statement yesterday saying that she's no longer going to be engaging in left versus right politics and that she's not a Joker supporter anymore because she's seen the ways that he has clearly screwed over his own constituents. And man, people are all up in their feels about that. And I actually have kind of complicated feelings about that because, of course, like I've said before, it is never the wrong time to do the right thing. And I applaud anybody who's willing to say that they've woken up and they no longer want to support him. Her in particular, because when she has said and done things that are Ray, you know, I think that that gives other people who actually also are Ray an excuse, right? Because they can say, oh, you know, it can't be Ray. Candace Owens says that she's black, so it has to not be Ray. And so being able to remove that excuse, I think, is an important thing to do. And I also wonder if I could have wound up like her in a different lifetime, in a different timeline. I could totally see exactly how she wound up where she did. There was absolutely a time in my life where I associated being brown with being poor and being white with being affluent. And I'm not afraid to admit that. That's true. I grew up in the hood. Like, if you're from Colorado, I was in Park Hill. And Park Hill in the 90s is not the Park Hill of today. There was nary a golden doodle in sight, okay? There was all the things that you would associate with living in the hood around where I was. And my mom took me out to the suburbs to go to school. And so I had this stark contrast between like the people in my neighborhood and the people that I went to school with. And I would be lying if I said that I did not ingest a lot of that subliminal bias and those prejudices that the same people in my conservative suburbs had at the time. And the black community was not super accepting of me at the time. I'm super bubbly, nerdy girl who always had her nose in a book and loved opera, right? And I was just seen as corny and annoying. And honestly, I didn't have a lot of black friends. They didn't like me. And my mom recognized that, and she went out of her way to make sure that I found other black women and men who were like me and recognized that, like, being excellent does not equal being white. And so she got me into that outdoor education center where we brought black kids up into the mountains and taught them outdoor education skills. And I was part of it starting at age 10, and starting at age 16, I worked there until I was in college. And when I was in high school, she enrolled me in this program called the Links, and it was like all about black excellence. So I was able to see these wonderful examples of black people killing it. And I think that having Barack Obama where he was changed the way that we as a black community interact with each other. And it was no longer considered corny or white to try to be anything different than whatever stereotypes that we had also internalized due to the systemic oppression. But I think that she wasn't given those opportunities. I think that she probably internalized those prejudices, and it was never rectified. And not only wasn't it rectified, they were exacerbated because every single person around her was applauding her and giving her millions of dollars to continue having those thoughts, feelings, and emotions and perpetuating their talking points. And everybody is susceptible to propaganda. All of us, especially if that propaganda is incentivized with millions of dollars. And is this an excuse? Absolutely not. Do I forgive her? Like I said, Scorpio sun, probably not. But I am glad that she's woken up. I'm glad that she's saying something. And in terms of building another community, she's got a lot of work to do. But there are other people like her who follow her and listen to her. And by her choosing to walk down the right direction, a lot of other people will follow her too. It's not going to be me, but hopefully it will be somebody who had already listened to her in the first place, right? So go ahead and do what you gotta do. I'm sorry, I'm sure that pissed some people off, but it's Friday, oh well. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like, comment, and a follow. Turn to blue, Candace nice and cozy over here. And as always, keep your eyes up, keep your feet on the ground. I'll see you next time. Ta-ta!